Hello, all. This is Dr. Dave Maslach talking to you about reciprocity.com. The E is written with the three. And in this particular video, I'm going to talk about doing flyout interviews for graduate school, or if you're thinking about it, to become an assistant professor, right? When you do the campus academic interview. So if you don't know me, I'm a professor of innovation strategy and entrepreneurship, and I created this whole reciprocity project to give back as much as I possibly can. There were so many people that helped me out to go to graduate school and to allow me to become a professor, that I want to do something that I can pay the favor forward to other people around the world. So I created this whole sharing economy proofreading platform, the Reciprocity Project, and now I'm doing these YouTube videos to give back and as much as I can. So the flyout interview, what to expect, or what is a flyout interview? So generally what a flyout interview is, it happens at two parts, and they're different, right? So when you first go to graduate school, you might have a flyout interview, and in that case, they're going to ask you to probably pay for your way to go, and you just go and talk to different people. Now, often this is dying in terms of that activity, because now that we have sort of online resources like Skype and FaceTime and stuff like that, it's a lot more easier to do the interviews and understand what these people are from afar. So that is a lot more common. The other one is a flyout interview when you get your first job or any job in academia. This is where you become an assistant professor, or maybe you go to learn to be a postdoc or become a postdoc. Now, this flyout is generally, most often, paid for by the institution that is inviting you to go there. It's an invited talk is really what it is. And they're looking to see what your research is all about, and you're going to present your latest research. And so generally what happens with these flyout interviews is you might have a Skype interview or a phone call interview first, where they will ask you different questions and find out who you are. And it's generally only one or two people. Maybe it's a couple of people, three people that are sitting there interviewing. They're just kind of getting to know who you are, and then they will shortlist you and put you into, maybe it's three or four other people. And those three or four people will be invited to give a academic talk at that institution, right? So what you do during the flyout or during the campus interview, academic interview, is you go and you actually meet with a ton of people. So you start out at the beginning of the day meeting somebody. You probably start about 8 o'clock in the morning, even earlier, maybe even 7, where you might have breakfast, and you might have breakfast with a couple of students, for example, some graduate students. And then you will start having meetings starting at 8 or 9 in the morning with different various faculty. And generally those meetings will last anywhere from 20 minutes to an hour, depending on what's going on. And most often it's probably about a half an hour. You just go to their office and you chit chat. It's often you'll go for walking interviews. I really like those, where you just kind of go and talk and chat with people. They're really highly effective. And you just talk to them, find out who they are, and it's just a really personal, kind of really fun thing. It's really exciting because some of those people are quite famous that you end up talking to, and you get to have this really nice conversation with them. And it's just a really wonderful thing when you get to do that. And then you will probably go for lunch and come back and then do your job talk. And so what a job talk is, it's anywhere between 45 minutes to an hour and a half. Generally, it's probably about an hour and 10 minutes to do this job talk, and you just present your latest research. So if this is your first one that you're doing, then it's going to be your dissertation that you're going to present. Highly likely it's going to be your dissertation you're going to be presenting. And then depending on the institution, and it's really culturally specific, it can vary in terms of sort of what the feeling is like. So some institutions, it's quiet and people listen and they pay attention. Other institutions are well known for being quite aggressive, and they ask all sorts of questions and they try to poke and prod at your research, which is good. So this is what makes it tricky, is sometimes at some institutions they're being polite and being quiet. And then some institutions, you're kind of bombing. when everybody else is being really quiet and they're being polite with what you are doing, and you just don't get any sort of feedback from them because they just are not buying into what you're doing. So it's kind of, you just don't know in terms of the signal. So generally with academics, you want a lot of people asking questions. That's kind of a good positive thing, that it just means people are interested is really what it is. And so if you get 5 to 10 minutes in, they start asking questions, then that is a positive thing because they're curious about what you're doing and they think what you're doing is kind of interesting, right? So that's a really wonderful sort of thing. And then after that, what you're going to do once you have this sort of job talk, you're going to be a little bit exhausted. So you'll probably end up meeting somebody that is a little bit more low key. I'm not sure who that might be. And then you'll go out for, maybe it's drinks, or go out for a dinner. And that's kind of the normal thing. You go out for dinner and people, and it might be with a couple of people, and you just have a nice conversation with them. So then the following next day, some institutions, it's common to do kind of a look around the area. And they'll take you, maybe it's a housing, so they'll take you to different places. You can maybe have a real estate agent, for example, they'll take you to different places to go look at the housing and all those kind of things all around the area, just to see what it's about, right? And they want to know, they want to make sure that you are fitting in with the community, right? And so what you should expect during this job talk, and when you're going through the whole job talk experience, or when you're doing your flyout, is just expect it to be really exhausting, and really you're just going to be very tired throughout the process. You're not going to sleep very well. It's just part of it. You're probably going to practice. Make sure you practice a lot and rehearse your job talk. If you haven't gone through your job talk less than 5 times, you probably haven't rehearsed it enough. You got to go through it enough that you know it pretty off the cuff, or you're just a very confident speaker. Most of us aren't, and so you have to just go through it a lot and make sure that you know absolutely everything, because they're going to ask questions with all that kind of stuff, right? So just be prepared. And be prepared is just be very confident with what you're doing. It doesn't mean, going crazy with studying everything in that possible area, because there's no way that you can do it, but just know how to respond to certain questions and stuff. So, the easiest response is just to be honest. If somebody asks you a hard question, you just say, I really don't know. We could take this and have a conversation after, and maybe we can get at what you are trying to do. And once you do that, that really does sort of, it's a nice way to get around that. You could just say, I really don't know with what you're doing. Honestly, that's a legitimate answer, is just to say, I don't know with this thing, and do you have suggestions on how to pursue this going forward? It's tough to get up there when people are asking questions, and that's why it's exhausting. And generally it is your baby, your research that you've spent a long time working on. So you're going to be very defensive, I think. And a lot of people are. I'm defensive with my idea after I've worked on it for a long time. And it's taken me years. It's still really hard for me to deal with that. And, it just takes time to sort of deal through that. And what actually gets around this defensiveness is just practicing and getting to know what you're doing. And if you present it a bunch of times, then it gets easier, and you know all the ins and outs. Actually, what ends up happening is you know all the questions that everybody is going to ask, and it gets easier once you know all the different questions, you can answer them. So that's a big thing. Oh, and what should you dress during a job talk interview or a flyout interview, campus interview, whatever it is? Dress in business casual, right? So if you're and man or woman, make sure that you're wearing some sort of sport coat, sort of dressy kind of thing, right? You want to make sure that you look business casual, that you are doing the thing that you're supposed to be doing, and you're just being very respectful for other people around you. So it just generally, I don't know too many people that would show up in a very casual, just kind of relaxed kind of attire. Most people will get dressed up and wear a business attire, whatever that might be. Tuxedo, nope. That's way too much. but just something that's nice, tie, and a nice sport coat and all that kind of stuff, right? A suit. And that will help you out a lot. So you just want to be relaxed and just be yourself as much as you possibly can once you've rehearsed everything. And I know that's really difficult for everybody to be yourself. But it's important to be yourself as much as you can, because that's what you're going to be. If you do get the job, that's what you're going to be, is yourself around those people. And so you don't want to give them a false impression when you get there, and then you're somebody else, and then you have to act like somebody else. So you just want to be yourself. And here's the key thing: if you're yourself and you realize that you're just not jiving with other people, it's probably not the right institution. It's not the right place for you going forward, right? So you want to sort of feel that. You want to feel at home with what you're doing. So it's as much, when you do these academic interviews, campus interviews, it's as much as a interview about you from their side, but also you interviewing them. And it's okay to turn people down and as long as you have opportunities, right? That's an important thing. If it's your only opportunity, don't turn it down. That's not a good idea. But if you have other opportunities, it's okay to turn it down and to explore different things, right? So hopefully this answered some of your thoughts with the flyout interview during graduate school and when you become an assistant professor. Hopefully this makes a lot of sense. It really shouldn't be, the idea behind it shouldn't be like super scary, but it is, because you're being evaluated, obviously. So, but just they're just trying to find out what your research is and who you are and trying to evaluate you as a person. You're trying to do that exact same thing on the other side. And so that's why it's really important for you to be who you are. So if you like this video, give me a thumbs up. I do appreciate it. And do subscribe to the YouTube channel. All right, take care. Bye.